Hi, I'm Julie Lasky. I'm the editor of Change Observer, and I'm here in my capacity as the jury captain of the C77 Design Awards in the category of products and equipment. We are here live in New York at the studio of Harry Allen Design, to present the winners of this category. And I'm here with my fellow jurors, starting with Zoe Combs, behind me, Harry Allen, our host, Maria Popova, and Rana Korpash. We very much enjoy at 9, it barely ended at 5. We involved Korean food and a lot of conversation. When the smoke cleared, we came up with the following results. First of all, though, I have to let you know that there are 2 categories in the products and equipment section of this competition, and they are not products and equipment. They are student work and professional work. And within each of those 3 categories, there are 3 award levels. You can think of them as bronze, silver, and gold. Officially, they're known as notable, runners-up, and then best of category winner. So we're going to start with the announcement of the student awards, and we're going to start with the notables, and then move on upward through the food chain from there. The first winner of the notable category Pontifical Catholic University of Paraná in Curitiba City, Brazil. Now, this project is a veterinary device to aid diagnosis of the equine respiratory system. It condenses the horse's breath during exhalation to generate liquid samples for analysis. Notable award number 2, and I must stress here that there is no order of the notable awards. They're all wonderful. If I'm reading them in a particular order, that just happens to be random. It's what's here in front of me. So, notable award number 2 is the Always Fresh water container by Peng Tao Yu, who's a student at Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California. This project is a water container for emergency preparedness. It is connected to the plumbing under the user's bathroom or kitchen sink, so the fresh water will run through this container every time the user uses tap water. Notable award number 3 in this category, students, is the 2-key portable restroom by Kevin Chang of California College of the Arts in San Francisco. It's a portable restroom designed to counter the problems that arise due to heavy attendance at outdoor events. Through innovative placement of an external urinal, it promotes dual functionality per unit, which effectively cuts all lines in half, improves hygienic conditions, and reduces cost, space, and carbon footprint. I am now going to move into the runners-up category, and there are 2 of them. The first one is Tea Time by Peng Tao Yu, and you may have remembered him from who's also a notable winner. We judge all of these entries blind. If there are multiple winners, that is because we're dealing with very talented designers, not through any particular credence on the part of the jurors. So once again, Tea Time by Peng Tao Yu, this time working with Jake Childs and Matt Heller. They're all students at Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. Tea Time is a handheld device that can be used to make and drink tea. By introducing an hourglass-inspired user-product interaction, it makes the tea steeping and drinking experience both fun and convenient. And here I'd like to invite my fellow jurors to comment on this product. Maria, for instance, what did you think of it?
As an obsessive tea drinker, I was just so excited about this, both in terms of the aesthetics and the function. I'm really excited to look at it and to use it, and there's something really poetic.
I think we all thought it was just a beautiful, simple form, and that it included some new functions like the timing device in it, and this attempt to take all of the question out of making a cup of tea so it just comes out perfect, not bitter, was very well thought out.
Moving along to runner-up number 2, the award goes to the One Down Mousetrap by Akash Dewan, who's a student at DSK's International School of Design in Pune, India. One Down is a humane rat trap working on the bottom of the pyramid toy principle. It creates a new visual association to the usual rat trap. It's a beautiful, in fact, hourglass-like form. And then when the animal goes into this beautiful sculptural form, it tilts and the animal is trapped inside, beautifully inside. Harry, I'm sorry, Harry. Did you want to comment on this?
Sure. You know, it was so simple that we actually had to get on the computer or it seemed so familiar and such an appropriate solution that we had to get on the computer and Google it to see if it already existed, because it seemed like some sort of a traditional device or some sort of vernacular ceramic mousetrap from, you know, another country, but we didn't find anything in it, and it really just appealed to all of us, and it looks like it would function, and it's a simple one piece of ceramic, and so we all agreed that it was a beautiful piece of design.
Yeah, and I think we were also intrigued with the last two entries, the similarity between the form, but they chose a different function, and the way that a student or designer could preload the use of what would be a universal form to different kinds of functions was very intriguing to us.
Finally, in the student category, I would like to announce the winner. The overall winner of this category is the U-Haul Emergency Response Conversion Kit, again by Peng Tao Yu from Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. This project is a conversion kit designed for the American Red Cross that quickly transforms a U-Haul rental truck into a temporary emergency response vehicle. Zoe, why did we pick this? Tell us, why did we pick this as our top student prize?
Well, I think the brief asked to design a next generation Red Cross truck, which is an expensive investment that the Red Cross keeps on our behalf. $90,000 truck for when there are disasters in cities. And I think the students sort of took our everyday infrastructure and turned that into infrastructure for the unusual. And there's something resourceful about that. So they took the whole fleet of U-Haul trucks and made a conversion kit for that. So that makes the fleet bigger and less costly to maintain. And I think there's a basic logic to that we have to support.
It was a smart idea. It was also beautiful. It was just this very simple cube, so it was a really nice aesthetic solution.
So congratulations to all the student winners. I'm now going to announce the awards for the professional category in the product and equipment category of the C77 Design Awards. And the notable is the third ranked winners, still very excellent in no particular order. Notable number one is the Alex bottle that Treasure Hines, Greg Janke, Chris Hotel, Marta Hotel, and Gretchen Bleiler of Anvil Studios in Seattle, Washington. The Alex is an innovative, eco-friendly stainless steel water bottle that provides a convenient alternative to disposable plastic bottles. The design features a mid-body split known as clean seam technology, which makes it very easy to clean and enables it to compact to half size, saving space during shipping, traveling, and storing. Maria, what did you think about this project? Sorry, I think I started with you. The water bottle.
The water bottle, we've seen so many water bottles kind of piggyback on the whole greenwashing trend of the past few years, and there sort of have been nothing but radical sort of an iteration of the familiar plastic bottle. And this is just such a refreshing, but intended and functional way to look like the same old thing in a very new way, and very kind of beautiful and aesthetically pleasing way.
I call on Maria because she's a gym rat, but she makes a great deal of use of water bottles.
And yes, and one thing we like is, for example, my standard water bottle is very difficult to clean. But this actually offers a great way to kind of clean, which adds a layer of disease prevention and this whole other thing on top of the sustainability element.
Notable number two is the Korea Smart Card Open Gate System by Tae-Hong Choi, the Sushin Lee, and Young-Tae Kim from Design K2L in Seoul, South Korea. The client is Korea Smart Card, and this is the first ticket gate designed in the Republic of Korea that facilitates two-way use by eliminating the turnstile. Rama, what did you think about this project?
I was particularly interested in the social context, that you no longer need a mechanism to pass through, and I think it speaks potentially to Korean society. I'm not sure how it would work in New York, but I find it very exciting that a society could have an open system like this.
What I liked about Rama's written comments on this, and you'll be able to see them yourselves, that he wanted to, he begged Bloomberg, Mayor Bloomberg, to consider this particular project for New York, and Rama wrote, perhaps it's time we universally move past cage-style turnstiles that attract cello players, baby carriages, and bicycles. Amen. Notable number 3 is The Glyph by Tom Gerhardt, Dan Provost. Tom Gerhardt and Dan Provost of Studio Neat from Long Island City, New York. It's a simple iPhone 4 accessory with 2 primary functions: mounting your iPhone onto a tripod and propping up your iPhone at various angles. Zoe, you seem to like this project a lot. Why did you?
I love it. It's a very plain block of plastic that almost has a kind of abstract aesthetic to it for me, and it works in a very functional way. It holds up your phone and allows you to make video and photos in a stable way. But it also, the kind of abstraction of the piece, it almost made me want to kind of find new uses for it. It's very functional, but almost so functional that it felt interesting again. And I just started to imagine that maybe not all the applications have been sort of fully fleshed out, and that as new applications come along, the blankness of it would give it enormous flexibility.
The fourth project to win a notable prize in this competition from us was the Nocaro N200 by Stephen Katsaros of Nocaro International Limited, with Tom Boyd, Jen Dao, Evan Husney, Beth Palizotto, Mariano Rodriguez of Denver. This is an alternative to very dangerous kerosene for people who live in the developing world and need light. The kerosene lamps are dangerous, unhealthy, and polluting, but now they can be replaced with the solar light bulbs, which make for a cleaner, healthier, and more prosperous world. What I found very impressive about this project is, according to the designers, it's an iteration of a project that's already been distributed to over 99 countries, where it's showing a great effect. They've been shown to pay, these bulbs have been shown to pay for themselves in as little as 8 to 10 weeks. They were originally distributed over the web in June, and this entry is representing an improved version of it. The fifth product to win a notable prize is the Jawbone Jambox by Eve Bahar with Gabe Lamb, a Fuse project design studio in San Francisco. Harry, what did you think about this?
Well, with all the projects, I was just thinking about this before with the solar light bulb also. We were constantly treading the line between function, something that did a new function or had an interesting new function, and things that were beautiful, and often those things crossed. They didn't always cross. I think we all agree that the light bulb could have been more beautiful, could have been more interesting design, but it served this amazing function. Then on this project, on this Jawbone, or the Jambox, it was just so beautiful that we had to give it an award. So, and that was my overwhelming thought, was that stamped mesh front, variety of different patterns, really minimal aesthetic, that it was just a very beautiful object that you would want to have in your home.
And it also, we've heard that some of us actually own it, and the function is excellent as well. So it really does serve the music function beautifully, and you can just wonderful that.
You're supposed to recuse yourself.
Well, a lot of these objects are out in the open. That's what makes them great.
Yeah.
The sixth product to win a notable award is a LogScribe Echo Smart Pen by Dan Harden of Whipsaw in San Jose, California. It's a pen computer. It captures handwriting and audio simultaneously, so it's a really remarkable invention for note-taking, which involves a special bit of paper that goes along with it. It allows you to take your notes and then go back and hear all the ambient audio that surrounded that particular note. Maria, you said this is a smarter system that you've seen bridging the gap between digital and analog note-taking. You're also a user of this.
Well, I don't own one, but I've seen it in action. I'm particularly excited about its applications in the field for journalists in disaster and conflict areas when there's poor device connectivity to kind of have an analog backup. And actually, just this past week, a TED Global cybersecurity expert, Nikhil Kipling, talked about what happens to our data when there's a digital disaster happening. And jokingly, to illustrate his point, he turned his TED Talk into an overhead projector presentation to illustrate the importance of having an analog record for all the digital records. And so this is such a beautiful example of this sort of dual storage functionality.
The seventh product to win a notable prize from this story is the Fine Skillet by John Truex with Jason Connolly of Borough Furnace in Syracuse, New York. This cast iron skillet is made from recycled iron and produced in small batches, hand cast and finished. The design updates the classic iron skillet with improved weight distribution and easily accessible heat dissipating handles. So you said you love this product. Could you share why?
Well, I think it's reflective of a few trends that I think should be supported or I'd like to see grow. And I think there's a real basic to this skillet. It's not a high-tech piece of delicate equipment that we can't repair. It's something that's quite healthy for cooking. And I think there's an idea that Americans aren't really designing sort of basic products anymore. It's almost a curious ambition that these people wanted to redesign something so old and something so useful. And they did it with digital tools and these sort of things that are quite easy for us to manipulate, the digital model on the SLA kind of prints, and figured out how to cast this fairly easy to work with cast iron metal and did it in kind of a beautiful and somewhat of an improved way. And aesthetically, I really am attracted to this almost prehistoric kind of simplicity that I think I could deal with more of in my life.
The 8th product to win a notable award, it's Green Toys, or Our Green Toys, by Robert Van Goghen, president and co-founder of Green Toys, with Jeff Servatus, engineer, and Scott Hertz, industrial designer, both of Lunar Design in San Francisco. Sorry, skipped a page here. This family of toys is made with recycled plastic from used milk jugs. Without losing an ounce of fun, this line introduces innovative, re-engineered, and redesigned versions of classic toys that push the limits of sustainable materials in manufacturing, representing a new step in the greening of everyday objects. Rama, why did you stretch it so much?
Well, I particularly like the project, not in the product itself, but in the fact that it was that it came from a larger waste stream. And I would call this trend a byproduct, and we typically think of byproducts as unintentional, but this is an intentional byproduct. And I think as we move forward in our product development, more and more products will be connected to larger circuits of production, where there won't be standalone products, but they'll be connected to other circuits. So this, I think, is a seminal expression of that idea, and I think we'll see a lot more of this in the future.
We're now moving into the runners-up, and there are 2 of them in this category. The first one is the TikTok and Lunatic Watch Kits by Scott Wilson of Minimal Design in Chicago, Illinois. TikTok and Lunatic simply transform the iPod Nano into the world's coolest multi-touch watches. I felt that we all know that the iPad has launched an industry sycophantic supporting devices, but that these do not look like they're supporting devices for an Apple product. There's a seamless context that's provided for these watches, and they're multifunctional. They not only tell the time, but they record heartbeats, and I believe act as pedometers. They do many things, all useful, and they do them beautifully. The second runner-up product in this category is Make Do by Paul Justin of Make Do, designer and CEO, with 3D modeling by Jake Tankel, and they're both from Melbourne, Australia. Make Do is a reusable connector system that enables construction using everyday materials, including cardboard, plastic, and fabric, to create new things. Ferry, could you comment on this project?
Yeah, I think we all felt the same way, that toys that encourage creativity are toys that we love more than sort of finished products. And since this was just a connector system, it left so much room to the imagination, encouraged children to experiment and reuse common waste goods. It's another reuse project, and we just thought it was a great idea. It's like less about the design and less about the design of the object and more about letting the kids design or letting the kids be creative. So.
And also understand the process of creativity. I'm a big believer in combinatorial creativity, the idea that we create by taking these existing pieces of stuff and sort of recombining them into new things. And this is such a kind of hands-on metaphor for this.
Finally, the winner in this category, The Great Romance. It was not really a tough decision. I wanted to say it was a tough decision for everybody to make, but actually I think this is one where the jury really pulled together to give the honor to the load carrier for labor by Dr. Vikram Dinubai Panchal, the National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad in India. The load carrier for labor is a transformable ergonomic device designed to improve the working conditions of laborers and workers at construction sites, factories, ports, and railway stations. And what it is something you carry on your back, or you can push it, that you can put any number of loads onto it, and you can bear. And if you're a slate person, if you're a meteor person, you will be able to do what's so obviously important, be able to carry objects in an innovative way. And not only that, but it was quite beautifully made, wasn't it, Ronald?
Yeah, the hardware itself that holds together a caning material looks to the west, very much like a construction connector in a bright yellow hardware. But what was most impressive to us was the fact that it seemed to be an open source design that could be interpreted by different villages and peoples in different areas. So the designer essentially created a blueprint for how people would engage with the load carrier and build it within their own communities. It stood out amongst many of the entries, and the fact that it was dealing with a humanitarian issue, and it wasn't directly related to selling a product. Not that there's anything wrong with selling a product, but design can have other things it can emphasize on. And I think this product was more about asking the question of what is the role and where does design function in a way that a lot of the other products and equipment didn't do. So we were very inspired by the work, and we're excited that this is also, it turns out, a faculty member at a university.
And how much did it cost? We had translated the
$6, I believe.
$6.70.
$6.70.
It's really designed for everyone. It's great.
Yeah.
We wanted to, because we have a few minutes left, maybe comment on some of the things that created a sense of, not contention ever, but conversation among the jurors. It's a nice story for juries and design competitions. Where does the engineering end and where does the design begin? There were some products that were no doubt feats of great invention, but it was hard for us to evaluate them as design products. Similarly, when you get a little over toward that artistic side of design, there were some designs that were beautifully rendered, things we really wanted to own, quite artistic, but the functionality was questioned. So, as I say, an old story in design competitions, but would you agree that that was probably the heart of our arguments concerning a few products?
And layering on top of that, of course, the considerations of our specific category, not only a conversation about what design is or should be, but also what it means to design within these criteria for product.
I think it comes from the fact that we all work in some capacity in design, and we don't all work in the same way. And there's an idea about design that it's kind of the uniter of challenges, uniter of demands, function and beauty and everything resolving into one. But I think, to be perfectly frank, I think we'd be paralyzed if we had to do everything. So we come in here with our own, it's not within the agenda to vote for anybody's friends, but with our own value system. And I think each of us has to sort of step outside of each other's, of your own mind, to sort of see where somebody else is bringing value to something. And at the end of the day, there's no way we would agree, I think. But it's a really interesting experience to see where we can all meet.
But also it's such a fun product because it's such a learning process. So the dialogue was really great, and there were so many good ideas and so many beautiful things in the mix.
And there were a number of entries that we frankly couldn't assess. We didn't know how much of a leap forward it was because we weren't given a context. And while we all have different expertise, it's difficult for us to judge, a particular a medical device of a particular category without understanding the category more fully. And to those entering this next year, whoever those judges may be, I would strongly suggest to help to frame how the project is innovating, because it was difficult for us, and we found ourselves, debating about questions that we really didn't have expertise in, but what was given to us wasn't quite enough to know.
Also, as a jury, we had one day to go through these very complex medical devices and things, so it's hard to get into every detail. So.
Course 77 gave submitters a great opportunity with videos that there are voluntary videos that were submitted by the submitters of the competition, and they helped us a lot. So we encourage you, especially if there's anything at all arcane about your project, to take advantage of that opportunity to prepare a short video that would allow the jurors to understand it better. So finally, I just want to thank all of you who submitted entries to this category. Thank you so much for tuning in. From New York, from Harry Allen Studio, this is Julie Lasky, jury team captain, signing off.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.